What's up, peeps? It's Fry here, back to put y'all onto some heat. Got CaveStory Plus for PC, playing it through Steam. But yeah, with that said, let's cook.
In the early 2000s, the internet was a lawless swamp, and nowhere did that chaos manifest more horrifyingly than at conventions, where fan culture, angsty teenage energy, body odor, and zero boundaries come together to form something magical. Where inappropriate internet culture would come together and manifest like labubos on a Birkin bag. Make me hold a make me look cool. What the? Pinky's up for the Birkin the boo-boo. Today we're going to be talking about the likes of Bear, Spin Buckets,
Kazuma,
Yowie
asking for Sue.
Gazebos. That was quite a sentence. That
He got lost.
I'm gonna need you guys to super glue yourselves in for this one. It's time we talk about the most bizarre incidents that happened.
Person in a distress
To my
signal.
knowledge, I'm sure there's more. But before we begin,
Who is this guy?
I'm not here to hate on cons or the people who attend conventions. Actually, I've been going to cons since I was 10, all the way through middle, high school, and even now. When I was younger, I would literally count down the days until my next convention. Ta-da! I just grabbed a handful of these things. This is not even all of them. This is just a little taste. So this video is coming from a place with a lot of love and trauma, okay? As usual, here's my little content warning. Take a gander, my friends. Nothing's gonna be graphic at all, but it gets a little nasty and gnarly, so if you have a sensitive stomach, maybe skip over some parts. So without further ado, let's dive into some strange con incidents.
We have double health and all.
I talked to my healthcare provider about Lybalvi. That's Lybalvi. Ask your healthcare provider about Lybalvi by name. Find out more at lybalvi.com.
Incidences. Also, please feel free to share your personal experiences or more details that you know or have experienced down below. I've done as much research as I can, but my experience is very isolated to the cons that I have personally been to, so feel free to share some of your own experiences.
Hello, it's me, Hello, surprise, it's me, Editing Gauge from the future. It is currently Wednesday, the 23rd of July. While I'm sitting here editing this video, I'm looking at these Instagram stories, and I see that fellow YouTuber Addy is posting a very similar video to this one. Just letting you know, I messaged her, we're all good. Complete coincidence, that's it, just in case you see it. Don't worry, everything's good.
Bear. Starting off the bat, that name is insane, and the reason behind the name is quite interesting. Bear originated from a Japanese text board website called 2channel. The bear first appeared in text art and was named Kuma, Japanese word for bear. The original context for Kuma had no correlation with bear. From there, it quickly got snatched up by 4chan and became a meme. Because for some really odd reason, Kuma was often depicted sleeping with children? What? And so 4chan dubbed the bear. So he got his final name and evolved from the text art style. The character is portrayed as a philic, anthropomorphic brown bear mascot. It kind of reminds me of Domo with its simplistic style. It was originally used on 4chan to mock child abuse. When someone would post something creepy towards children, you would often see this reply or some variation underneath to indicate that the post is very creepy. The bear was also really popular on DeviantArt, I believe, back in the day. People started editing this bear into actual pictures of children, often depicting these kids in bathing suits or in beauty pageants. A lot of people drew fan art of the bear depicting him being very inappropriate around children. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Oh, the beat made me thirsty. Hold on. However, with his growing popularity, he began to kind of seep out into the real world. He began to pop up around mainstream media and got the attention of the wider public. And he became known to the general public as a mascot for pet. A few people did speak up and try to correct this misconception that its origin was to mock these people and not promote them.
Grinding?
I think maybe just reporting accounts and posts might have been a little bit more better. I don't know, I'm just here. A few companies at the time that make cheap, fast costumes began to make replicas or inspired costumes of this led to this character making many appearances at conventions. And oh boy, did people wear this outfit. Oh my gosh. You can find so many pictures of people dressed up as this bear with children at conventions. There's a few stories like floating around the internet revolving around interesting and uncomfortable, inappropriate interactions with people dressed as this bear.
One time I had to delete a video about how I got picked up by a bear cosplayer at a convention when I was 13 because too many men were commenting that they wish it was them that did it and that they missed those times when they could cosplay bear at conventions and not get in trouble. It was really weird. I was 13, I was cosplaying Lucy from Elf and Lied, and I was just standing there, and somebody in a pedo bear costume ran up and grabbed me, picked me up, and started to run off as a joke. Like they were kidnapping a little girl as a joke. And way too many people were way too comfortable saying, yeah, that's really funny, we should do that again. You're weird. Like, I'm not saying that I was traumatized by it per se, but it was weird, and you are really weird for wanting stuff like that to continue to happen at conventions. It makes the space unsafe for like everyone. What's wrong with you?
While these cosplayers may not have all had bad intentions, to me taking pictures with strangers' kids dressed up as a child character it's crazy, right? No? Especially people dressed up as the bear would pick up and intend to kidnap.
Jeez, I'm not
Again,
gonna
I'm sure
type
not
back.
everyone had bad intentions, but there were a big handful of people who did have bad intentions that made a few con attendees feel uncomfortable and acted inappropriately to the general public. So, and while some people claimed it was just ironic, it clearly made people very upset.
He was called P3DO Bear for a reason. And there were P3DO Bear cosplayers at cons that their whole shtick was to make young girls feel uncomfortable or take pictures with young girls because it was a big joke. It was so funny. CSA is so funny. When I hear people say, like, I want to go to a con back then, like, you would not, there was a lot of bad stuff, a lot of really problematic stuff that did not age well. And P3DO Bear is a great example of that. He did not age well. And the joke is not funny. It shouldn't have been funny back then, like, frankly. And because P3DO Bear was normalized, so was P3DO behavior. And it was not taken nearly as serious as it is today. Add that to the fact that there was no cosplay as not consent, and women were... Yeah, it was bad.
For me personally, I don't find this funny. I don't like shock humor or anything like that, so call me woke, but...
An ice-cold Coke is perfect, but only at Sonic can you get your perfect Coke for free with endless combinations of cherry, jalapeno, vanilla, coconut, and cream. Create a Coke your way for free. Only at Sonic.
Nobody's perfect. But being with you, it took a lot of work. And I'm here for the work. But I lost sight of who I could be. It's not that simple. With Rippling, I'm able to automate all of this manual HR and compliance work. Unbelievable.
But this type of stuff was very common at conventions at the time, so I guess people just let it slide when they shouldn't have. But wow, wasn't that a tale? I was very lucky to never have any type of interaction with these bears, but I did see a few at conventions. I think it's time we move on to our next relic in time, baby. Carpet sample fursuit. The name should send a shiver down your spine. And if you've never heard it before, mate, buckle in because it's about to get a little freaky. So unfortunately, this lacks any of my personal experience because I have never been to a furry convention. But at furry conventions, obviously, you can find a lot of fursuits. They come in all different shapes, sizes, and creatures galore. However, there's one that stands out in the furry community. Actually, there's probably like 15 that stand out, but shh. When you first hear the name carpet sample fursuit, you're probably thinking a fursuit made of a bunch of carpet samples that you would get at any hardware or furniture store. But oh no, my friends, you couldn't be more wrong. This fursuit was completely made out of the ripped off fabric or skin of stuffed animals and sewn together to make a suit. And this thing looks freaky. Like, Who are you? I'm not a part of the furry community, but I have seen a few fursuits, and they look pretty cool. They look pretty cool. This? No. No. The next part is going off alleged personal experience with this fursuiter, so bear with me, please. It's said that this fursuit smelt really bad. Any attendee that would walk past this fursuit would get hit with the most pungent, nasty smell that would just fry their hair off. And I believe that the fursuiter, the person
Who's this? Is this the doctor?
I believe the fursuiter made this clear themselves that they had a thing for stuffed animals. So a lot of people speculate that's why it smelled so bad. Basically, the sock.
Seems
Two balls,
Balrog.
if you know what I mean. Nasty. Apparently, the owner of this fursuit as well is not a great or safe individual. They have been banned from cons in the past and has been known to be extremely inappropriate to furries at the convention and even non-furries just around the area. So, if anyone has any more information, please let me know. But I think it's time we move on because I don't want to look at this anymore. My bangs have been shielding me. But no more. Oh baby, you know what time it is. Bring me the gauge.
Homie just got
It's time
shedded
for the
on.
Yowie paddle. So I hear you asking, Gage, what's Yowie? Honestly, this is not something I thought I would be explaining.
How did I lose XP though? I should be level 3, no?
Relationships in fiction. It's a subgenre of a wider term called boys love, where I bet you could guess what that's about. There's actually a bigger conversation that can be had about the word yaoi and its origins. I unfortunately don't have time in this video to give you a yaoi lesson. Yaoi paddles have actually been banned from almost every con here in the West, so what happened? Yaoi paddles were actually born and popularized by Western conventions. They were wooden boppin' paddles with the word yaoi engraved on them. They were sold as kind of like props for photos, jokes, or like fan servicey kind of things, but then people actually started smacking strangers with them, and that's when everything went off the rails. What started off as a goofy prop ended with injuries and actually a rumor of someone breaking their pelvis. Nearly all cons had them banned by the 2010s, which was probably for the best. Imagine just standing there, minding your business, and all of a sudden, suddenly getting blindsided by a horny piece of Home Depot plywood. There's actually a huge controversy with the intellectual property of the yaoi paddle, as the original creator was unhappy with the mass production of something that was supposed to be for a friend as a silly gag, writing in a 2004 statement that, and I quote, "I never wanted it to turn into a big con staple that people would like or hate, and now has ballooned into hundreds of people nationwide spanking con goers." And just as the quote says, it's one of the reasons why it got banned, because something silly turned into people getting smacked and hurt unconsensually by others, which is sad because it can totally ruin someone's con experience. Even if you don't mean it in a bad way, touching someone without their consent is never a good idea. Now, luckily, I have never been hit with one of these bad boys, but I did see people carrying these around and them being sold at certain vendors. And I do really feel bad for people who did get randomly smacked by one of these things. Imagine spending so much time on your costume, money on the con tickets and traveling prices, standing in a long line waiting to get in, to only be absolutely decimated and smacked by a wooden paddle without your consent, especially by some stranger, where you could even get injured. It's time for glomping, baby. We need some glompers. Yo, Glomper Nation, rise up. I'm just kidding. Hugs make me nervous. So what is glomping? Well, glomping was pretty popular back in the early 2000s at anime conventions. It's basically where you would just charge at someone full sprint and hug them really tightly. It's like a running, tackling kind of embrace. I believe this started as something between friends.
How do I consistently score these top grades for my essays? First, after getting the question, always go to the marking scheme and don't just look at what you need to do to get the top grade. In fact, you'll learn more about what you need to include in your essay by looking at the lowest grades and seeing what you need to avoid. Next, starting the essay is always the hardest.
And people that you knew who you were really excited to see at the convention. Some people would get glomped. I don't think that's proper terminology. If someone was cosplaying their favorite character, instead of politely asking for a photo or for a hug, you would just run at them full sprint. Soon people started blurring the lines and began doing this to strangers, which became dangerous and uncomfortable for some attendees. It got to the point to where some people were being tackled to the ground in cosplay. One creator called Whole Wheat Pete does this kind of thing for content, but he claims that it's all consensual. But still, it causes injuries and even damage to some props. Not to mention even property damage of the venue, which is a good example of why it's no longer really around and why it probably shouldn't be brought back. Now it's time to move on. However, the next few are nasty. I'm just giving a little bit of a warning because they involve bodily fluids, and bodily fluids give me the heebie-jeebies. But let's go to our next peculiar thing. Now we're entering the Homestuck portion of this video, the Homestuck spit bucket. Now the original incident didn't happen on convention grounds. It's actually a video of a bunch of Homestuck cosplayers sitting around a table at some restaurant spitting into a bucket. I can't watch the video, I'll vomit, but it's out there if you're interested. But you know, it's none of my business.
No, she's not in there.
Whatever. Now, this next bit is going to heavily rely on my memory, which is no good. Because when I looked this up, I didn't find exactly what I'm looking for. Because I genuinely can't remember if this happened to me or if this is someone else's story. So if you've heard of this before, please let me know. Please. But I remember a convention where a Car Cat cosplayer, carrying around just like one of those little buckets, started going around approaching other con attendees, asking them to spit in the bucket. It could have been a joke and filled with some other liquid, but I remember it being foamy in there. Ugh. And I also remember the cosplayer taking a swig of the bucket. Oh, no. This is nasty. But I can't find any information on this, so I apologize. This is all alleged from my brain. So let me know, guys. I need your brains. On the same level, I'm sure you guys have already heard about the Sharpie bath incident. It is heavily considered to not be real, but there's a bunch of other videos talking about it in detail. But basically, someone decided to fill a bath with Sharpie ink and I guess water and take a little bath in it to turn their skin gray for that nice gray Homestuck complexion. I remember it being a popular rumor that they passed away from ink poisoning. So overall, Homestuck cosplayers did not have the best reputation when it came to conventions. But that doesn't mean they're all bad. I'm not a huge Homestuck fan. I tried to give it a shot. Wasn't for me. But I respect the grind. I do. I really do. Regardless though, I'm glad to see that spit buckets haven't made a return in 2025. It's time for the very last thing that I want to touch upon to kind of wrap up this video. Now, this one's definitely going to be way more recent than anything else talked about in this video, and I still believe it's kind of an ongoing issue. It's the poop gazebo. Woo! Yes, you heard that right, friends. Katsucon is a fairly big deal. Though I've never been personally, many of my friends go every year. They have this beautiful gazebo surrounded by tons of windows that let in a lot of natural light, where a lot of cosplayers love to take photos. However, for 2 years straight, this gazebo has been home to the spookiest of dookies that mysteriously appear in the middle of the night.
Someone keeps pooping in the Katsucon gazebo. Okay, if you don't know what I'm on about and why it's so funny, this gazebo right here is a prime photo spot for many cosplayers who are attending Katsucon. Katsucon is held at the Gaylord National, which is also a hotel as well as a convention space. You can book these little rooms and then walk directly out into the convention in the morning. But as you can see, this beautiful gazebo is in a great spot when it comes to natural lighting. It is absolutely swamped and enveloped in natural lighting, which is absolutely perfect if you're wanting a really good cosplay shot. Like, this gazebo is iconic for people who attend this convention. It really is a place that you have to get a photo. Yet somehow, for the last 2 years, somebody has managed to take a poop in this gazebo. People are not 100% certain whether it is a human poop or whether it is a service animal poop. Obviously, if it's a service animal, it's a bit different because an animal can't help it. They just need to go. Like, you know, they just need to go. It's not their fault. To be fair, it could be the case that somebody who may have an underlying health condition just wasn't able to make it to the bathroom in time, and the gazebo was some sense of privacy, and so they accidentally took a poop there. But like, it's happened in 2022 and 2023, and so apparently now attendees aren't really meant to be hanging around the gazebo past 10 o'clock, purely because this is a pattern that has happened 2 years in a row. I can't even lie, Katsucon sounds like a magical place. Like, I thought MCM London had its stories, but no, Katsucon is on a whole other level. This gazebo has absolutely earned its place as a landmark in cosplay history.
I kind of agree. Once is almost excusable. You know, stuff happens. However, 2 years in a row, this is a schemed plot. Luckily, since 2022 and 2023, this incident has not happened again. But they're out there scheming waiting for the next gazebo. However, recently at Katsucon, there was an incident of a pipe bursting and raining poop water down upon some artist in Artist Alley. What is happening at this con? I'm getting a little suspicious, Katsucon. I do feel horrible for the artists that had their merchandise ruined because they literally had to pay to be there and set up their booth only for it to get destroyed. And sometimes these artists do rely on the money they make from these conventions to pay their bills. So I'm so sorry that happened. To me, it's on the same lines of the DashCon ball pit.
Good morning, team.
Watch Wolfman on digital now. Wow. It's an absolute must-see.
Oh, are you law enforcement?
Yes.
And one of the best movies of the year.
Oops.
Wolfman, buy it on digital now.
The piss pit, if you will. Con goers really going anywhere but that bathroom. Come on now. Now, growing up going to cons, they are completely different from when they first start. In some ways, that's a good thing. And in other ways, not so much. I think during COVID is when I noticed a huge change in con culture. A lot of the original fandom, charm, and cringe has been removed from conventions, which is what made them so fun. And despite all the weird stuff that I mentioned here, the real issue with conventions that is still not solved to this day is obviously con creeps, especially with them presenting cosplayers. They get harassed, photographed, and touched without their consent. And sadly, you don't have to dig very far to find tons of horror stories evolving around people at conventions. We've made some progress with movements like cosplay is not consent, and more awareness of creeps around con being able to be spread around social media very quickly has definitely helped as well. So if you're going to a con, bring a buddy, speak up, and bug security until they listen to you. Okay? Okay. I've been super lucky at all the cons I go to, because I am the most manliest of men, or at least a twinkish looking guy. I don't really get bothered. It definitely saves me from a lot of creeps, unlike my feminine presenting friends that I've seen them experience some horrible things. I've definitely had some weird encounters. I'm sure there's more that I can think of, but two incidences that come to mind revolve around me and some friends that I met at the con, who I'm still friends with today. I love them so much. So awesome. But me and my friends were cosplaying characters from Demon Slayer, but we decided to sit down. It's kind of at the end of the night. We're around a bunch of other people who are also sitting down. We're deciding on where we want to eat dinner. And there's a guy sitting right across from us who kind of shouts the names of the characters that my friends were cosplaying. And so they look over and he's sitting on the ground with his camera asking for a picture. So they both get up, and being the amazing kind friends they are, they say to the guy, "Oh, we have a third. We have a Zenitsu if you would like him too." And I kind of like, "Oh yeah, baby, picture time for me." And the guy goes, "No, I only want the girls." So they're standing and this guy is still on the ground with his camera. And mind you, he's like knee level with them. And I believe they were in skirts? No. I can't remember what the characters wore. I don't think so. Okay, now I gotta look. I gotta fact check. Hold on. I was half right. One of them was in a skirt. One of them was wearing pants. Regardless, though, he didn't get up to take the picture. He sat down with his camera while they were standing. I'm probably in the background of the picture, hunched over, eating some gummies. I don't know. But he just kind of took the picture and like nodded them off, and they came and sat back down. I remember looking at them like, that was really weird. And another instance that I can think of with another friend, they were cosplaying Tifa. We were just outside in the courtyard making some funny TikToks. They weren't even like dancing TikToks or anything. I think we were just being stupid. And some guy walked past, started catcalling my friends, talking about her butt cheeks or something. I don't remember. I remember we just like flipped them off and we were like, what do you, hello? And that same friend on a different day, they were cosplaying a different character. I can't remember why we were separated for a little bit. And I went to go find them. We were meeting back up. And there was this guy that would not leave them alone, asking like for their number and stuff. And they were like, no, I don't give out my number. And he just like would not go away. So while I can't remember anything that personally happened to me, those are just some things that I've experienced and been around. They are nowhere near what other people have gone through. but I just thought I would share some things that I've seen because it happens. I've seen it. Also don't want this video to discourage anyone from going to cons. Please go to cons. They're so much fun. Just be safe. Because with all this crazy stuff being said, I do want to end this video on a positive note. Cons are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be a good way to make lots of friends and show off your hard work and your hobbies. They're a great way for artists to promote their work and, you know, make money to pay some bills. Going to conventions is how I've met some of my best friends and some really amazing people as well. Conventions open the door to a lot of diversity and inclusion, as they should be. Everyone should be welcome at conventions as long as they're not trying to harm anybody, obviously. My channel is not about cosplays or conventions, so if you're new here, I apologize. I'm sorry if you feel misled, but if you would like to hear me talk more about it, let me know, because I have a lot of stories up here. I just can't think of them right now. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this video. I appreciate you more than you know. This is going to get a little cheesy YouTuber moment. Stick with me, please. If you want to see me as a cool, chill guy, leave now, skedaddle. But I'm so sorry for the wait on this video. My dream is to post twice a week. Hopefully I'll get there one day. But I've been struggling this month to feel motivated and get ideas that I feel like you guys would enjoy. But I've been like beating myself up trying to think of an idea that I think you guys would find interesting. I went through like 3 different scripts and I really hate keeping you guys waiting. It freaks me out. So please share with me all your amazing ideas or things you want to see me talk about. I really appreciate when people send me things that they want to see me cover. I do have a huge list of things that you guys recommend to me that I'm slowly kind of getting through, but I appreciate you guys sticking with my channel even though all the videos make no sense and they're not correlated whatsoever. My channel doesn't really have a theme, it's just kind of me yapping, so thank you guys for staying. I really appreciate it. Like, so much. This is going to be cheesy, but it's real crazy out there in the real world. Not going to lie. So you guys really keep me going. That's dumb to say, I know. I appreciate the support that you guys give me. But unfortunately, that's all the crazy yapping that I have for you guys today. So, same time next week. Hopefully. Come on, brain, don't fail me now.
My YouTube subscribers need me.
Nice.
Let's do Reels Bingo. Basically, we have the bingo board right here. We're gonna go watch some Reels and we're gonna do 3-way bingo. So for every little Reels joint that we hit, just hit it on your board personally. I'm gonna give y'all the link right now. There's nothing I'm really gonna change like that this time around. Okay. Okay, that is a very crazy one to start off on. Accident and injured. To be honest, I don't know if there's any accident. Like, I don't know if that was accidental. I'm gonna keep it a stack. It's an accident, but sure damn well wasn't accidental. I'm not gonna hold. Injured. We go ahead and hit injured, bro. Next one.
Who are we here with today?
Black Boy Max.
Black Boy Max, what would you say like the best day of your life was? Sorry, try to talk to me.
Damn, I know you just prepped me for the question. I deadass don't know.
The worst day?
Nah, it's negative. What?
Negative
Okay, craziest day.
Today,
Shit, today, I'm sorry, I can't think of
what
it.
made it so crazy?
Today was so crazy because it's just...
Who are we here with today?
Black Boy Max.
My nigga be getting overwhelmed, bro. My just be getting overwhelmed. There's a lot going on, bro. There's like, I feel like bro got social anxiety, bro. I'm not gonna hold gang. Like, it be like that sometimes. It be like that sometimes, bro. It be like that sometimes. Streamer clip. That's not a streamer clip. That's not a streamer clip. We'll do music because Max do music, but y'all can't get streamer clip out of that. That's not a streamer clip, bro. Anxiety, no dochi. That's not even music. I'm not even giving y'all niggas music on this. I ain't gonna lie. I'm being very, very rare with this, bro. I'm not even giving y'all music on this one. Oh, rapper's on there though. I give y'all rapper though.
It's just my finance.
You're facing 25 to life, and the character assigned to your B-Day month is your lawyer.
Sora 2 is now on Artlist.
And you're still here? Go to artlist.io.
You now have the most advanced AI video model on the market at your fingertips. Get incredible realism with fully integrated sound.
You keep the frame, I keep the story.
Build your own world with multi-shot stories and character consistency for any genre, all based on your prompt. So go to Artlist and start creating without limits.
What are the chances that you beat the case?
I'm cooked. I'm February, bro. I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I'm cooked. What the? I'm cooked, man. I got Aaron. I'm cooked. Who y'all got? I got Deku. Yeah, I'm cooked. We're skipping those ones.
You can shoot me, but you'll have to kill us all. You can shoot me, but you'll have to kill us all.
That nigga did not. That did not say. What the fuck you talking about? He did not say that, bro. Who is us? Who is us, gang? No, I laughed at that. I laughed at that. What the fuck, boy? Nah, I ain't gonna hold. He got it. He got it. Cause me personally, I'm not doing that. Aura? Oh, no, he was quoting someone that's out of context.
You can shoot me, but you'll have to kill us all.
Yo, I was about to say, who is us all? Like, I ain't never heard no nigga with that nigga. I ain't gonna lie, bro. What the f is this? What's this freaky ass? What is this? What is that? Crash out final boss. Struggling a little bit. Are the floors so clean? Bro was struggling with that crash. I ain't gonna hold. Bro could not get that out the socket. Get in the weight room. What's bro mad for? Child left behind. Nah, he's just a thug. He's just a thug. He gonna be in jail very soon. I give it. I ain't gonna lie. Police need to come arrest this thing. I ain't gonna hold. What's the LJ? This is a fully grown man. This nigga's name is Tiberius, gang. He's 54. He's 54. He has 3 kids, bro, and 2 of them are not his. Like, what the? Let me see. People be crashing out and not realizing jail is really the end result. Some of y'all must like jail, because that definitely ain't for me. I would never, ever go to jail. But if I did, though, bro, I'd be running that. I ain't gonna hold. That's just me.
Question for Aiden.
I hit that hoe. He kinda hit that though. He smooth with it. I gotta like that bit. I ain't gonna hold. He smooth with it though. Aura? I don't know. Aura though. I get dancing though, bruh. Nigga said wide. Come on, chat. That's not cool, bro. That's not cool, bro. That's not cool, bro. Come on, bro. Dude, don't do that. Don't do that, gang. He's not even wide. He's just big bone. That's fuck. That's a kid, bro. That's a kid, bro.
Oops.
School, he not even at school yet. So ain't he watching P? Ain't he
Okay, that's kind of wild.
School? Come on, bro. I don't know, sir.
Can we TP to the bushland, sir?
Let's go ahead and hit it, bro. Let's go ahead and hit it. Check the comments. My son getting it. He's so woo. He's so woo. 2021 ass goddamn trend. What's that? Does anybody name start with an M? Does anybody name start with an M? Anybody? No? Oh, okay. Well,
Hoodie so in the building.
Hoodie so in the building.
Introducing the Tell-a-Friend Credit Chat.
Hey, check this out. I just got my FICO score for free with the Experian app.
Fred, you always know the best apps. You can also raise your FICO score with your streaming service payments.
I knew binge watching would pay off. And you can add your rent, your phone, and utility payments.
What? I can get credit for those? So then I added my utility payments and boosted my FICO score.
Let me guess. Instantly, right?
How'd you know, Fred?
Download the free app now.
Hoodie so in the building. Dewey so in the building.
Yo, when this nigga first went ball, bro, you can see the shine on his hair, bro. You can see.
Luigi Mangione, our favorite handsome Giga Chat assassin, alleged assassin, is back in the news after scoring a major win in the courts. According to official sources, Luigi Mangione scored a major legal victory on Tuesday as a judge dismissed the top 2 state charges against him, first-degree murder and second-degree murder, both of which prosecutors had argued were terrorism charges. The judge overseeing Mangione's criminal case, Gregory Caro, said the evidence put forth was legally insufficient for the 2 terrorism-related charges. In a written decision that was posted during a 15-minute proceeding in Manhattan court on Tuesday, counts 1 and 2 charging the defendant with murder in the first degree, in furtherance of an act of terrorism, and murder in the second degree as a crime of terrorism are dismissed as legally insufficient. Caro wrote, "The people presented legally sufficient evidence of all other counts, including murder in the second degree, intentional." Now, anyone with 2 brain cells could see that this was the case from a mile away. There's just no evidence whatsoever that he had any inkling of terrorist intentions behind his alleged attack. And we could see all this was just a deliberate overstep by the ruling elite to try and send a message. Although this is just a basic common sense ruling, when I was first following this case a few months ago, I was a bit skeptical they'd get it right. There were reports that the judge overseeing this case was married to a Pfizer executive, and I don't know, I just had the ick feeling that somehow, some way the system would find a way to screw him over again, and the elites would always win in the end per usual. He's still facing state charges and the death penalty, however, so this battle is far from over. But getting the ridiculous charges of terrorism dropped is a fantastic early win for his defense. And I guess it goes to show there's still a slight semblance of hope for a fair system. More so than being back in the news, however, he's back in the YouTube comment section across so many different videos, including that of yours truly. People are openly using his name as a rallying cry, and you can just sense the tension building.
Hostiles approaching. Reciprocating hostility. Helping. Trash detected. Together. Failure. Punching makes my fists go bang.
Now, just to be clear, I don't endorse or condone violence, but as I've said in previous videos, I study a lot of history these days, and you can see a clear pattern that when things devolve to this level in society, violence is an inevitable outcome. And if we want to avoid it, we better come up with some better, serious solutions fast. Now, one thing we seem to all take for granted is just how fragile the order of society is. The reason we don't kill, steal, or hurt other people isn't just because it's illegal and you'll go to jail if you do that, it's also because we recognize that it's morally wrong to do so. If everyone, however, got fed up to the point where one day they just up and decided that violence isn't wrong, our society doesn't have enough law enforcement resources to stop that many people, even if they wanted to. And this is what happens historically every time when inequality surges to these obscene levels. Once again, I'm not saying we should resort to violence, I'm just saying they inevitably do when you have conditions like what we have today. This is exactly what we're seeing with the Gen Z protests going on all over the world right now. It started in Nepal not all that long ago, and now these violent Gen Z protests have spread like wildfire all around the world, from Peru to Morocco to Madagascar, where Gen Z literally completely overthrew the government, and the president was even forced to flee the country in the end. Now, the protesters come from vastly different cultures and parts of the globe, but they all share a few key things in common. They're all Gen Z, they're all mobilizing on social media, and they're all uniting under the One Piece anime flag. This flag has become a symbol of solidarity for Gen Z protesters across all countries and cultures, and galvanized a global movement the likes of which has never been seen before. Now, some idiot boomers in my comments have been saying that this won't happen in the West because Gen Z in the West are too soft and lazy and, you know, all the usual stereotypes. But you'd be incredibly naive and ignorant to think that it can't happen here if people continuously get pushed to the limit like this. The book The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe and William Strauss makes a compelling case that your generation makes a far bigger imprint on who you are as a person more than anything else. It matters more than your race, your culture, or where you're from. A great example he gives in the book is that if you were born in the year 1890 and you had a little brother born just 10 years later in the year 1900, you would have been fighting in the trenches in World War I, while your little brother would have just barely missed it. This is bound to drastically shape who you are as a person and make you a very different person from who your brother is, even though the two of you have the exact same background with the same two parents growing up in the exact same household. And this is the exact same scenario we're seeing play out in real time all around the world right now with the Gen Z protests. The fact that all of them are universally Gen Z and have all universally experienced the same horrible economic conditions Gen Z was born into their whole lives, this seems to be the unifying factor above all else. We're not seeing people of every generation in the Nepal protest, we're seeing the Nepal protests spread to other members of the same generation across international lines. Gen Z is the clear common denominator here. And so since the generational lines have been more impactful than any other factor here, you'd have to be incredibly ignorant and naive to think that it couldn't eventually spread to the West as well. A lot of you have asked me why I think it hasn't quite happened in the West just yet, and to be honest, the only reason I can think of is that things just aren't quite as bad here in the West now. I mean, I would say it's still fair to say that the situation in these developing countries is worse, and so it's simply a matter of the fact that Gen Z in the West hasn't quite been pushed to the same tipping point just yet. But make no mistake, this could change at any moment, and all this means is that it's a ticking time bomb, unless things start to change and improve fast.
Deeply powered by AI.
These YouTube ads that tap my shit out to make the screen black are so annoying.
Space between thought and action. When creative,
it's only a matter of when and not if. But Gen Z in the
This guy's spitting truth.
Start an all-out violent political revolution to make a significant impact. They're already starting to throw their political weight around as we speak, and are changing the landscape of American politics forever. And as a millennial, I just have to say, it's about time. I haven't given a shit about politics in a very, very long time. And the reason for this is simple. Both Democrats and Republicans suck in their own unique ways, and I don't know, I just can't be bothered to hold my nose and vote for the lesser of two evils. Republicans and trickle-down economics have definitely done more harm to the country in my opinion, but then Democrats proceed to just not do jack shit to change or fix anything when they get in power either. In a way, I'm actually not mad when Republicans win, just because the way I see it is this. Watching a bad movie is a shitty experience because it's just a total waste of time. I mean, it just is. You just sit there, bored, waiting for it to be over, and you gain absolutely no value out of it whatsoever. Now, watching a really horrible movie, however, sometimes can actually be an okay experience because sometimes the acting, the plot, the storyline can be so goddamn cringe and awful that it's actually funny how bad it is, and at least you get some comedic value out of your experience, even though that wasn't the intent of the movie. Hey guys, we set out on a mission during the summer to take down the biggest, most vile Gen Z hater, the Angry Guy. A straight up horrible human being who hates Gen Z so much, he even celebrates them dying. Thanks to you, we've gained a ton of ground on him over the summer, and we've set a new goal to surpass him in subscribers and defeat him once and for all by the end of the year. So, if you're new here and enjoying this content, definitely consider subscribing and helping us take down the biggest, most evil, final boss Gen Z hater. With your help, we can absolutely do this. That is exactly how I view the Democrat and Republican parties respectively. The Democrats straight up won't get jack shit done, period. The Republicans, however, on the other hand, tend to screw things up so damn bad that A, there's at least some comedic value out of it at least, and B, they piss people off so bad that eventually they vote in the extreme opposite from the other side, who might at least change something, whether it's for the better or for the worse. And it seems like that's exactly what's happened in NYC recently. Now, I'll get to what I think about Zoran Mamdani's policies and whether or not I think they'll work in just a bit later here. But first, I want to talk about the massive ramifications it has for the political power of Gen Z. Make no mistake about it, Mamdani 100% totally owes this victory and the success of his campaign to Gen Z and young voters who are ready for something new and overwhelmingly broke for him. Specifically, young men broke heavily for Mamdani, which was a bit of a surprise. This marks the second major election in 2 years that young men were essentially the demographic that single-handedly determined the entire election. If you remember, they were also the reason Trump got elected a year ago, and the fact that they voted in Trump 1 year and then a self-proclaimed socialist the next shows they're not just a bunch of blind loyalists who you can just blindly count on and take their vote for granted no matter what. If you want their vote, you better produce results, which is your job as an elected leader anyways. Now, I think this marks a major watershed moment and a turning point in America where Gen Z is going to have the overwhelming majority of the votes and thus the political power in this country along with it. The road to the White House and Capitol Hill goes through Gen Z now, and if you want to get elected, you better show you can produce results for young people now. Boomers are starting to phase out. Their votes are going to matter less and less. Gen X, for whatever reason, always seems to be irrelevant and kind of left out of these generational conversations. I don't know, maybe they're just a less vocal generation or something, and millennials will likely just follow what Gen Z does. I've always believed that whenever the day comes that Gen Z becomes in charge of the world will finally start to change and gradually become a better place to live in. And it looks like we're in the early stages of that right now. Now, let's get back to Mamdani's policies, because this is where it gets really spicy in my opinion. On one hand, you have radical conservatives saying he's a Muslim jihad Marxist communist who's gonna turn New York into Cuba or Venezuela or whatever, Typical brain-dead Republican talking points of calling everyone you don't like a communist. And on the other hand, you got people saying he's exactly what we needed, and he's going to be the future of the Democratic Party. Now, I'm someone who gets my worldview and political opinions from having traveled the world extensively and living in many different countries. I spent a lot of time traveling the Nordics, and I currently live in an ex-communist country in Eastern Europe, where a lot of the remnants of history of communism are still very well felt today. So I have a decent perspective on both socialism, communism, and what we're dealing with right now. First of all, this idea that he's a communist or even a socialist, to be honest, is absolutely laughable to me. Most people labeling him as such are just a bunch of right-wing nutjobs who resort to calling everyone a communist when they have no real actual argument to make. And I think this misconception comes from the idea of people thinking free stuff equates to socialism. It doesn't. What socialism actually is when workers take over and seize the means of production across every single industry across the board. The quote-unquote free stuff policies of universal childcare, free buses, and the like are more Nordic-esque social democracies, not socialism. More on this later. The closest policy Mamdani has to actual true socialism is the government-run grocery stores, but even that's not actually socialism because they're still operating in a capitalist framework. They still have to go out there and compete against other privately owned grocery stores. For it to actually be a socialist regime, he'd have to actually take over every existing grocery store in New York City, forcibly kick out the CEOs and managers, and replace them with either a group of workers or the government itself. And as far as I know, he's not suggesting anything even remotely close to this. He's not even remotely close to being a socialist, let alone a communist. I know he calls himself a democratic socialist technically, but I don't care what somebody calls themselves. I need to see some actual evidence that they are who they say they are. If someone says they're Jesus, I'm not going to just believe they're Jesus without any proof. And so far, I've just seen little to no proof whatsoever that he's even a socialist, let alone a communist. And now let's move on to the issue of free stuff, because this is where the confusion really sets in. And I would say it's mostly due to the dishonesty of conservative capitalists. It's perhaps best encapsulated by this comment right here. Denmark is not socialist. They have a free market, so it's capitalist. Okay, let's try their policies here then. No, that's socialist.
What's up, gamers? Back in the lab, we spoke and y'all listened. We asked what PlayStation game was next to...
As we just established, free stuff or welfare programs.
Every time this shit pops up an ad, my screen goes black until I tap out. Fuck YouTube.
Nowhere is either mentioned. Not only that, but no socialist countries had extensive welfare programs either. In fact, they were just as obsessed with forcing everyone to get a job as capitalist countries are. The confusion started because Republicans wanted to smear universal health care, free college, and everything they didn't like as socialism. And because quote-unquote socialism never works, this was an easy, low-hanging fruit insult for them to regurgitate. But here's the problem you run into when you do that. Whether or not socialism has worked is debatable, but let's just say for the sake of this conversation, it hasn't. Free stuff, however, has demonstrably been proven to work. The Nordics are the shining beacon perfect example of this. All of them have extensive social safety net programs, from universal healthcare to free college. Hell, Denmark even pays you to go to college. And they are indisputably one of the richest, most prosperous nations in all of human history. Now, if these welfare programs are not socialist, well then good. I want the not socialism of the Nordics then. Capitalists are going to have to make a choice here. Either the free stuff they've been smearing as socialist are not actually socialist, or if they are socialist, then that would mean the Nordics are socialist, which would throw their entire socialism has never worked paradigm out the window. Conclusion. Gen Z isn't taking your crap anymore. The days of them being called soft entitled snowflakes are long gone. They're literally changing the entire world right now, whether that's through violent revolution or reshaping the political landscape entirely and getting these old, out-of-touch boomers out of the office finally. They've been insulted by their elders, screwed over by the economy, demoralized by the state of the world. But alas, a new dawn has arrived, and they're now setting up for the most epic revenge arc ever. And the only reason they're able to do this is because they're quite literally the only generation with the balls to do so right now. We talk about this more in this video right here. Check it out. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.
Need better internet? Get Cox Internet for just $45 a month when you add Cox Mobile.
Excuse me, sir. Have you heard the good news about
Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Mountain Dew and 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 Gatorade, 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 Dew, Mountain Dew. Gatorade, Mountain Dew,
Hey everybody, Peebs here. Today we're going to be talking about some sellout games. Hello?
Hey, didn't you already do a video?
Sorry, wrong number. Some games are made with love, integrity, time, effort, and dedication to the craft, with appreciation for the players in mind.
And other games are windy, spicy Nug Island for the metaverse.
If the metaverse was the only life you could live, I think I'd rather just die. I did do a sellout games video in the past, and I had a lot of fun with that, but there was a lot of games for that video that I didn't cover, so I have compiled for you in this video. The worst ever sellout games. That's what it's called. Let's go!
Ah, adventurer.
Oh, hey.
The power you seek lies within the chest.
These are just Skittles.
If you went to a store and picked up this game, would you look at it and think, Skittles advertisement? That's a rhetorical question, by the way. Well, despite it not having any mention of it anywhere on the box, this is an officially licensed Skittles game. Actually, correction, it does mention Skittles right there in the bottom left corner legal text. Taste the rainbow. Wield powerful magic. Solve ancient mysteries. Eat Skittles. All right, let's do this thing.
May the wind carry my words to you, Mother, wherever you may be. What's the meaning of this talisman you left me? What's the meaning of
crazy work?
me? Who am I in this world?
And why is this a Skittles game? I'm still not really sure about that.
Our character, Sky, herds these weird animals with long hair, protruding eyes, and disturbingly prominent buttholes, and lives in a land controlled by evil, ugly guys who have apparently banned bright colors. Kind of an odd choice. Personally, I'd ban whatever these weird butthole animals are, but
actually,
after chasing a butthole sheep that ran into the
hell
village,
yeah,
she comes across a lone Skittles brand candy.
What in the rainbow's name?
What in the rainbow's name? I guess Skittles are some kind of ancient religious deity in this universe. How dare she take the name of Skittles in vain?
Go to the church and ask
Skittles
to forgive you.
We then cut to some evil-looking place where I'm assuming very evil people live, like this pathetic little dragon guy who warned some dude named
Lord Necros.
That?
A young female in Lindlora just found one. Orange.
Oh no! She found a Skittles! Hey! She found a Skittles! An orange Skittles!
Alright guys,
Then the game happens.
and
the game is,
we'll be gone for a while, then stream